Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Parts of the country are breaking single-day records for COVID cases. The Omicron variant is leading to an increase in infections, but health experts so far say those vaccinated and boosted are in a better position to evade the most serious symptoms. State and local officials are grappling with how best to keep their communities safe. Lucas Tomlinson has the latest from Washington.
New daily cases of COVID-19 have more than doubled over the past 2 weeks. But there is some encouraging news. 2 new studies show people who get booster doses of Johnson & Johnson's vaccine are well protected against the Omicron variant. The surge of people getting infected has led major cities to scale back their New Year's Eve celebrations. In San Francisco, the annual fireworks show canceled for a second straight year.
I'm bummed, to be honest, because I feel like in San Francisco we are so cautious and everybody is taking the proper precautions.
The CDC continues to face some pushback over how it came to its decision to shorten the isolation period for those with no symptoms. The largest nurses union in the country is highly critical of the move, arguing it will lead to further transmission, illness, and death.
Symptoms come on quicker, it leaves quicker. But that's not true for everyone, and it would be nice if we had a rapid test at the end of this that we could say, okay, thumbs up, go back to work. That's the only thing missing. I like the 5 days.
Cities also implementing new rules for students returning to school in January. In Washington, D.C., the mayor will require students and staff members to show negative test results before returning to the classroom.
And we want to put ourselves in the best position to reopen our schools from winter and keep them open.
Here in the nation's capital, at least 3 major universities will be starting their spring semester virtually due to a rise in cases. In Washington, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
More cancellations, more delays, and more frustrated customers as airlines deal with a 7th day of major disruptions. David Lee Miller has more from LaGuardia Airport in New York.
We just planned to get to the airport extra early this morning.
We're entering a 7th straight day of travel nightmares at airports across the country, and it's already looking like another tough day. More than 1,000 flights canceled in the early hours and more than 800 delays. The majority of those flights disrupted due to staff shortages brought on by the Omicron variant. In Seattle, more than a quarter of all flights at SeaTac Airport have been canceled, and customers say they're tired, angry, and frustrated.
So it's a mad dash to get a new flight. There were no flights. Then they want you to reschedule. I was supposed to fly on a different airline. And I was like, no, I'm not going to try to wait, get squeezed into different flights. So just canceled it and then just bought a new flight.
And with Omicron spreading rapidly across the country, there won't be a quick fix. JetBlue, which has canceled 17% of its flights, is now planning to cut 1,200 more through mid-January, issuing the warning on Thursday to give passengers time to rebook or reschedule their travel plans. Alaska Airlines has cut 14% of flights. They're asking passengers to hold off on non-essential travel for now. And after a week that saw more than 6,000 flights canceled, some stranded travelers say they're willing to consider other options.
I don't know what I would do. I'd have to try to rent a car and travel 1,300 miles across the country.
Dr. Anthony Fauci said the White House is discussing a vaccine mandate for domestic travel, but it is not needed at this time. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
Socially distanced New Year's Eve celebrations are returning in many U.S. cities this Friday, but in New Orleans, it is still party-hardy time, with public safety balanced against the need for necessary tourism dollars. Rebecca Castor has that story.
New Orleans is one of the few cities that is still full steam ahead for New Year's Eve. They're not limiting the number of people. The Fleur-de-Lis drop is still on. City leaders say that they feel comfortable moving forward with events because of the city's vaccine card or negative test requirement for all bars and restaurants. Now, New York City requires a vaccine card as well, but this did not stop the city's mayor from scaling back the celebration in Times Square. Usually more than 50,000 people will gather to watch the ball drop there, but this year only about 15,000 will be allowed. Just another hit to New York City businesses trying to bounce back after yet another year of COVID restrictions. In Louisiana, even though COVID cases are high, hotels in New Orleans are booked to capacity. The general manager of the iconic restaurant Brennan says a lack of visitors is not the issue here. It's the lack of staff.
Sure, we saw a couple of cancellations. We saw some parties go from 12 to 6 or 12 to 8 or 8 to 4. but we saw very few just straight cancellations. I still need staff to come back to work. Brennan's is very fortunate that we have a lot of guests that want to join us. I just need more staff in order to be able to care for them.
Major cities across the globe, such as London, Paris, and Rome, are slashing New Year's events completely. In the U.S., San Francisco and Atlanta have canceled. Overall, the UN estimates the world's tourism industry has lost over $1.6 trillion in 2021. Now, locals here tell us they hope that moving forward with New Year's Eve will not threaten Mardi Gras. This is another big money-making season for the area. In New Orleans, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
For those of you who want to stay up and welcome in the new year, you can catch live coverage from tomorrow night's iconic ball drop from Times Square. We will be showing the celebration on our social media pages and website. And not just the countdown and ball drop to ring in 2022, you can also watch preparations for the many festivities leading up to the big moment. Visit our Facebook page at Big Fox Television for live updates. Ghislaine Maxwell is now facing decades behind bars after a guilty verdict in her sex trafficking case, and more legal trouble is on the way. Alexis McAdams has more.
Ghislaine Maxwell could spend the rest of her life in federal prison. The former girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein facing up to 65 years behind bars after a jury found her guilty on 5 federal charges, including sex trafficking of a minor. An attorney for Epstein's victims calling yesterday's verdict a monumental day for justice.
What is more wrong than the sexual abuse of little girls? Ghislaine went to a summer camp for children and recruited and enticed these children and brought them to Jeffrey Epstein, where they were then sexually abused.
The jury deliberating for about 40 hours before reaching its decision. The British socialite stoic as that verdict was read in court. Maxwell's attorneys maintaining her innocence, saying they plan to appeal.
We are very disappointed with the verdict. We have already started working on the appeal, and we are confident that she will be vindicated.
And more legal trouble related to this case is on the way. Maxwell still awaiting trial on 2 counts of perjury. Meanwhile, a woman not involved in this trial, Virginia Giuffre, says she was sexually abused by Britain's Prince Andrew on multiple occasions. One instance allegedly occurring at Maxwell's house in London. That lawsuit not expected to come to trial, though, for several months.
There are other people to be held accountable, and it'll be over hell or high water that the state doesn't prosecute other men.
Prince Andrew's attorneys are expected to argue for dismissal of Giuffre's lawsuit next week. In New York, Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, online returns costing a pretty penny for retailers, forcing many to tell customers to just keep the product. How much retailers are now having to pay for returned items.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. It's been a little bit warmer today than it was yesterday, and as we ring in the new year, we are expecting that mild air to continue. However, it's going to be a wet start to our 2022. For your New Year's Eve celebration, temperatures will be mainly in the 40s. We are expecting a lot of cloud cover, but right now our chances of rain for New Year's Eve is going to be very slim, but that's going to really increase as we head into your New Year's Day. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But for the next couple of days, temperatures will run about 15 to 20 degrees above normal, and then a storm system comes in. Rain will be likely on Saturday, and that will be switching over to snow by Sunday as Arctic air starts to dive to the south into the Twin Tiers. So for tomorrow, there is the possibility of a stray shower or two, especially in the morning. By the afternoon, it should be a little bit drier. So here's a look at your forecast for your Friday. We start off with readings around 39 degrees. That's higher than our average high for Friday. And then we warm up to around 51 degrees. So again, it's going to be well above normal for the next couple of days. But the thing is, There's going to be a lot of cloud cover, and those clouds will increase by Friday night. A low-pressure system develops in the Central Plains, ejects to the northeast, and it looks like it's going to be headed to our area on Friday. Friday night, again, there's the possibility of some rain as we ring in the new year, and then as this low makes its way to the northeast, colder air will come on the backside of it, and so our precipitation will change back to snow as we head into your Sunday. So here's a look at your future radar. A few sprinkles here and there for tonight. Not the best chances of rain, at least not widespread, but there is a chance that some of you will wake up to some wet roads early tomorrow, drying out during the day. So it looks like just a few clouds across our sky for most of the day on Friday. And then those clouds will thicken up by Friday night. Saturday morning, a few showers show up, and that will increase not only in coverage, but also in intensity. In fact, we do have the possibility of some heavy rain late Saturday into Sunday, and then colder air moves in by the end of the day on Sunday. So if there's any moisture left over, that will be switching over to snow. So here's a look at your forecast tonight. 36 degrees in Elmira, 38 degrees in Corning. Highs tomorrow close to around 50 degrees for most of us. And our 7-day forecast calls for that Arctic air to arrive on Sunday with a high around 38 degrees. Colder on Monday, starting off in the teens, and we only warm up to around 29 in the afternoon. It looks like temperatures, though, will be a little bit warmer by the middle of next week with the high around 42 on Wednesday with partly cloudy skies.
A good year for IPOs ends on a low note. Elon Musk's rocket company gets a boost, and we'll show you some of the most expensive places for New Year's Eve. Lydia Hu has those stories and more in today's Business Briefs.
Despite raising more money than ever before in 2021, 2/3 of all companies that went public in the last year are now trading below their initial IPO prices. Experts cite the rise of inflation and the looming threat of rising interest rates as a contributor to the phenomenon. Nearly 400 companies went public this year through an IPO, and an additional 600 through a special purpose acquisition company. Elon Musk's SpaceX raising over $337 million in fresh funding. That's according to recent regulatory filings. This comes after the aerospace giant hit a $100 billion valuation following a secondary share sale in October. A new study naming the most expensive destinations for New Year's Eve, Miami Beach topped the list with the average hotel price costing travelers $365 a night. New Orleans came in second at $304 on average, with Nashville, New York City, and Honolulu rounding out the top 5. The study compared hotel prices in 50 major cities across the world for a 3-night stay at a 3-star or better hotel. And there was no winner in Wednesday night's Powerball drawing. The jackpot now climbing to more than $483 million. The next drawing? Saturday night.
Online returns are costing a pretty penny for retailers, forcing some to tell customers to just keep the product. According to returns processor Optoro, the cost of returning a $50 item is now costing retailers an average of $33, an increase of 59% since 2020. Meanwhile, a new survey from global shipping and mailing company Pitney Bowes shows 51% of American consumers are considering waiting until January or February to buy something they wanted for the holidays.
Close to half of consumers are afraid to go to retail stores because of COVID. We're seeing the post-Christmas week be very light for retail sales and foot traffic so far in stores. January will be a bit of a bust, and it'll be a disappointing season coming up for retail. The best retailers will be in the safe harbors. Food, distribution, transportation, warehousing, etc.
Electronics topped the list of items shoppers would consider waiting to purchase until early 2022, with 30% of all consumers holding out on electronics purchases. TikTok faces fresh challenges over possible damage to kids and teens. The growing and influential social media app has become a lightning rod of controversy after some parents claim the app was jeopardizing their kids' health. And a recent report in the Wall Street Journal suggests many teens believe they're suffering mental illnesses because of videos promoted on the platform. TikTok insists it is always working to protect users, while also admitting its videos sometimes, quote, inadvertently reinforce a negative personal experience for some viewers. The countdown to 2022 is on, and many people might be thinking about their New Year's resolutions. But after the last 2 years, are resolutions really even relevant anymore? Richard Jacobus has the story.
As we ready to usher in a new year.
Hit the gym, try something new.
It's that time again.
Make more money.
To make those resolutions.
To quit smoking, go on a diet, of course.
Or maybe it's time to do away with resolutions altogether. After all, 2022 will bring in a third year of uncertainty. COVID cases are rising, people are once again masking up, and almost everything is getting canceled or postponed. So does it make sense to even put a mandate on yourself or make a promise that's too difficult to keep?
This is a time when you can set small incremental goals and you can reflect back on your past year and look at what habits, behaviors, and routines worked for you.
Psychologist Dr. Nava Silton says most superficial goals take longer than a year to achieve. So instead of focusing on making money or losing weight, think of the bigger picture.
Be kind to ourselves, and we need to ensure that we are celebrating the fact that we have been flexible and adapted, and we've gotten through so much this year.
A little advice that resonates with those who may be stressing about achieving something in 2022.
I just believe that if you really want to do something, you're going to do it no matter if it's a new year or a new day. So might as well go into this year trying your best and try to be your best.
There's no excuse for you not to make a New Year's resolution. That's your choice not to do it.
Psychologists say some of the best advice they can give you going into the new year is to focus on mindfulness and maybe even spend some time meditating. Also, think about what brings you the most happiness, whether that's taking up a new hobby or spending time with family and friends. Experts also have another piece of advice in this time of uncertainty, and that's to always take care of each other.
Liquor stores are reporting an alcohol shortage ahead of New Year's Eve celebrations. 2021 might be going out with a bang, but possibly without a pop, thanks to a shortage on a variety of spirits, including the holiday favorite, champagne. Experts say supply chain issues are holding up liquor from being imported from outside the country. Stores likely have enough to get partygoers through the new year, but you might have to sacrifice certain specific brands. Your coffee order might be written in your DNA. Researchers believe they've identified a gene which explains why some people take their coffee black while others add milk or sugar. According to the research published in the journal Nature Scientific Reports, certain people have a gene allowing them to metabolize caffeine faster. These Cup of Joe lovers must then consume more of it in order to keep that rush going. As technology advances, there are always changes in the way that people do things, and that includes participating in sports. Danielle Miller has that story.
A lot of it, from the mental side of it to the training side of it to the business side, is very, very sports-like.
Scott Smith talking about esports. The industry has completely taken off, and there's no sign of it stopping.
There's a competitive platform. People play for money, for sponsorships, for glory. Some of these players and some of these games are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, millions in prize purse. Again, much like you and I can play basketball, we don't play in the NBA. You and I can play League of Legends, but you have to get all the way up here to play in their NBA, the LCS.
Smith proving you can make a career out of esports, even if you're not a pro gamer. His company, Do Not Peak Entertainment, is helping to promote, grow, and support the industry.
Gaming news, esports news, roster moves, all that kind of stuff. What we're prepping for today is I do a weekly show called The Breakdown that is kind of a weekly roundup of gaming and esports related news.
Smith says the stigma of being a gamer is becoming a thing of the past. He credits that for its rise in popularity.
What's better than Wendy's chicken nuggets? Why, free Wendy's chicken nuggets, of course. The fast food chain wants you to end 2021 on a good note with some free nugs. Customers can redeem the free menu item by ordering anything from the Wendy's app and adding the free 6-piece chicken nuggets to go with it. The freebie can be Wendy's classic nuggets or its latest craze, spicy chicken nuggets. If nuggets really aren't your thing, you can redeem for free Baconator fries instead. That deal lasts until Sunday. We want to leave you with a smile tonight. After another unusual year comes to an end, it's time to check the fashion statements that invaded the runways and our store shelves. As fashion evolves constantly, Companies have recognized that sometimes to spark the public interest, they need to be more than aesthetically pleasing items. Therefore, some brands are creating pieces that are daring, quite perplexing, or sometimes even off-putting to generate income. From shoes, sweaters, to even gaming consoles, this year had a variety of statement items in our stores. Pieces like the giant pink sweater from Raf Simons, the Minions watch from Constantine, the Fendi's crop top short suit, and Microsoft and Gucci's Series Xbox, all part of this year's daring items. Thanks so much for being with us this evening. Have a great night.